Let's talk about the thing in the mirror. What is that? What on earth is going on when we look in the mirror? The body, the mind-body unit that we see there, or the person, the psychophysical entity, is that us? I'd make the argument that what we see in the mirror is not what we are. It's who we are. It's what we identify as the body. But by the same token, it's the most complex thing that we're ever going to come across in our entire life. The thing in the mirror is complex beyond understanding. Just the biology alone is breathtaking in its complexity. And the idea that that is us and that we're in control of that is farcical, really. We know from biology and neurophysics that the anatomy has got a world of its own, which it runs by its own principles. The parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system take care of 95% of all our bodily functions. And we have the arrogance to believe that we're in control of that body when we have some input on terms of how we eat and exercise and taking care not to be in dangerous situations, of course, but generally it looks after itself. And it looks after itself in a way that has an innate intelligence. Our biology has an innate intelligence that works much better without our involvement. What I mean by that is our psychological involvement, the way we worry and have anxiety over things that we have no control over. The idea of control itself creates our suffering. And so that's just the biology. But we can understand it on many levels. We can understand it, or attempt to understand it, philosophically, spiritually, metaphysically. Psychologically, of course, we try to get an idea of what we are in terms of our psyche, the mind, and that's fraught with difficulties because what is the mind? Where are thoughts coming from? Do we decide what to think next? Do we decide what not to think? Emotions seem to arise, and then we assign a feeling to the emotion. The emotion is a bodily sensation to something. And then we take ownership of that. And we say we're sad, or we're happy, or we're joyful, or we're depressed, or we're anxious, worried, in fear. We have resentment or bitterness, anger. All these are names of emotions, and we personalize them, and we become them. And so the thing in the mirror, we believe is what we are, but that is who we are, that is our identity. The thing in the mirror is the meat suit that holds the story of me. It seems to be encapsulated in that physical entity, that psychophysical entity, but we are not the body. Earliest Buddhist scripture says that, pre-sectarian Buddhism says that you're not the body, you're not the thoughts, you're not the emotions, you're not the perceptions. It burns away what is false by pointing to what you are not. It doesn't say what you are, because that isn't available to know. That is the mystery. And we can point to that, and I have done on this channel, and I will continue to do so, I guess. This is what seems to be happening. We are the pure conscious awareness, or the mind in Buddhist terms, the citta, the mind that isn't part of our personal consciousness, but exists within it and outside it with no coordinates. The mind is the open space, the sky, the container. Nothing contains the container. It's boundless. And so that is the awareness that arises effortlessly. And it's not that we have to find that and it's separate from us and we have to go on a journey to find it and incorporate it into our story. We just have to realize that we are that. That sounds easy. We just have to realize that we are that. But self-realization is the intuitive felt sense that You are that open space of awareness, that boundless sky, which exists before, during, and after anything that arises within it. And when we look in the mirror, we are seeing clouds that appear in the sky. We are seeing forms, and we identify with those forms. But just as the clouds arise from nowhere, like the body seems to come from nowhere, and then exists and then disappears back into nowhere, so we, in our lifetime, appear to be born, have our moment, have our shape that moves across the sky, and then dissipates back into the effortless emptiness within which we arose. But even during that phase, we misidentify what we are as the cloud, as the formation in the sky, missing the fact that we are the sky. We don't see the sky because the sky doesn't have a boundary, and therefore it's just the expanse within which the formations, the manifestations arise. And so effortless awareness or effortless being is the sky. It's not touched by the story of you. The sky is not touched by the weather that arises within it. The weather changes, the sky stays. And not only that, it's not an object for inquiry. We cannot go take a plane and go and find the sky and recognize it and point to it and say, that is the sky. If we did that, we wouldn't find anything there. Just as if we use self-enquiry to find the mystery of being itself, we're trying to find an object that we can name as a subject from a subject perspective, and that's duality, that's dualistic thinking. We can't find it or name it. There's no thing there. And we are that no thing. Returning home is really realizing one's true nature as that no thing. And that is a felt sense of being. And it is so close we can't see it. And we look for it as seekers, like the proverbial goldfish in the bowl swimming around trying to find water. It's so close to our sense of experience that we can't see it, and it doesn't lend itself to be understood in the terms of a theory or a philosophy or an understanding that we can use in the personalized realm to help us with our daily life. It's not a resource we can pull upon like that. It's much, much closer than that. It is that part of you that you intuitively know doesn't change, that it was the same when you were 1, that is the same when you were 21, that is the same now, that is the same in the future, the next minute, the next 5 minutes, the next 5 years. That is the impersonal being. And that is effortless. You don't have to find that. You don't have to find that position or location, because it doesn't have position and location. You don't have to incorporate it into your story, because it is the foundation. It is what you are. It comes before the story. The story of you, your likes, dislikes, your history, your traumas, your past, your loves, your joys, your relationships, what happens in the world, all that exists as manifestations within the impersonal, ever-present, unchanging, eternal being. And that is what you are. And coming home is just intuitively realizing that. And then life becomes very simple. The story of you still plays out, but as it's playing out, you have a smile, because it is a play. It's not serious anymore. You recognize the truth of your being in ways that aren't understandable and can't be brought into the personal realm, but nevertheless are truer than any manifestation. This is the ideal world. the metaphysical truth of your reality, the oneness, the Advaita Vedanta perspective of non-duality. And that is the being. And when you rest in being, the becoming, which is your life, unfolds naturally and perfectly in the only way it can. And there is peace in that unfolding.